In the 1980s, one name was everywhere in Hollywood, not just on the director's chair, but above the title, before the opening credits, and sometimes even bigger than the film's actual stars. That name was Steven Spielberg. By the 1980s, Spielberg wasn't just directing some of the biggest films ever made, he was producing them, shaping them, and quietly deciding which young filmmaker would get their shot at making history. In an industry built on risk, Spielberg became the closest thing Hollywood had to a guarantee. This is the story of how one director leveraged his box office dominance to become one of the most powerful producers of the decade, and in doing so, change pop culture forever. Before Spielberg could become a kingmaker, he first had to become king. In 1975, Jaws didn't just become a hit. It invented the summer blockbuster. Wide release, saturation marketing, lines around the block. It rewrote the Hollywood playbook overnight. Then came Close Encounters of the Third Kind in 1977, proving Spielberg wasn't a one-hit wonder. He could blend spectacle with wonder, and audiences would follow. But it was Raiders of the Lost Ark in 1981 and E.T. the Extraterrestrial in 1982 that cemented his dominance. Raiders proved he could revive old-school adventure for a new generation, while E.T. became the highest-grossing film of all time at the time of its release. By 1983, Spielberg wasn't just successful, he was bankable, in a way very few directors had ever been. Studios trusted him. Audiences trusted him, and that trust became his greatest currency. Hollywood runs on one simple equation: success equals leverage. And Spielberg had more leverage than almost anyone in the industry. His films didn't just make money, they made cultural moments. That gave him something incredibly valuable: the ability to get other films made. Through his production company, Amblin Entertainment, Spielberg began attaching his name to projects he believed in. And that name, Steven Spielberg Presents, became a marketing tool in its own right. It told audiences, this film has the same sense of wonder, adventure, and heart you loved in E.T. or Raiders of the Lost Ark. And for studios, it meant lower risk. Spielberg wasn't just selling movies anymore, he was selling trust. One of Spielberg's most significant moves was backing a young filmmaker who had just come off a string of commercial disappointments, Robert Zemeckis. Zemeckis had directed Used Cars, which became a cult favourite but didn't exactly set the box office on fire. Many studios were hesitant to finance his next project, a time travel comedy called Back to the Future. But Spielberg saw something others didn't. He had worked with Zemeckis before on I Want to Hold Your Hand, and believed in his storytelling instincts. Spielberg's involvement as producer helps convince Universal to greenlight the film. Back to the Future went on to become one of the biggest hits of 1985, launching a franchise and cementing Zemeckis as one of the defining decades of the decade. This wasn't just a hit, it was proof that Spielberg's taste could shape the future of Hollywood itself. Spielberg didn't just back one filmmaker, he created an entire ecosystem of directors and writers who carried his sensibilities into their own films. Joe Dante's Gremlins in 1984 is a perfect example. Marketed as a cute creature feature, the film quickly descends into anarchic horror comedy chaos. It was so unexpectedly dark that it directly contributed to the creation of the PG-13 rating. Then there was The Goonies in 1985, directed by Richard Donner and based on a story by Spielberg himself. The film captured the pure, messy energy of childhood adventure in a way that felt authentic rather than polished. These films shared something crucial. They felt like Spielberg movies, even when he wasn't directing. Warm lighting, suburban settings, child protagonists, and that unmistakable sense of awe. He had effectively created a house style long before cinematic universes became a corporate strategy. Perhaps the boldest example of Spielberg's producing power was Who Framed Roger Rabbit in 1988, blending live action with hand-drawn animation on a scale that was considered almost impossible. The budget ballooned, production was complex, and the legal negotiations to feature characters from multiple studios were a nightmare. But Spielberg's reputation gave the project credibility. His partnership with Disney and Warner Brothers helped bring together characters who had never shared the screen before. The result wasn't just a hit, it was a technical and cultural landmark, revitalizing interest in animation and proving that audiences would embrace wildly ambitious hybrid filmmaking. By the end of the decade, Spielberg's influence could be felt everywhere. Kids rode BMX bikes pretending they were in the Goonies. Gremlins merchandise filled toy stores. Back to the Future turned a stainless steel sports car into one of the most recognizable vehicles in film history. More importantly, these films shaped the tone of 80s entertainment. Adventurous, slightly dangerous, but always heartfelt. They defined what a family blockbuster could be, appealing to children and adults at the same time without talking down to either. Steven Spielberg didn't just dominate the box office in the 1980s, he curated it, by using his success as a director to empower other filmmakers. He helped launch careers, redefine genres, and shape a generation's imagination. He proved that producing wasn't just about financing films, it was about recognizing talent, protecting creative vision, and sometimes simply telling a studio executive, "Trust me. Trust me." And more often than not, they did. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the business and cultural impact of 80s cinema, be sure to subscribe to All Things Movies for more video essays exploring the stories behind the films you love.